Welcome to Stardust Stereo. I'm Parker McPhinney. I'm your host. Today is the 30th of April, year 2025. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about the return of Venus into Aries, which occurs right now, today. It's been here before. Most recently in February, because remember we had that whole retrograde period of Venus. And I'm also going to speak on the Vatican's chart. I've been studying the potential future popes. This is a very arduous task, going through all this birth data. And I have some thoughts on that, and I'll be sharing them. But first, let's start off with Venus entering Aries. Venus first entered Aries on February the 5th this year. When it reaches 10 degrees Aries, it will be past the shadow, and that occurs on May 16th. So if you've forgotten what past the shadow means, or you never knew, it is the degree that Venus was when it went retrograde. That means that things that have been held up or evaluated or put on hold or delayed have the greater chance of going forward after the May 16th date. Wherever you have Aries 10 degrees in your chart, that particular house will give you a clue to what's been not moving at a fast pace, shall we say. So you can expect by mid-May, the 16th, that the steam will start again, and your plans that you may have been ruminating over since February, or perhaps the first time they started was in February and then they got delayed or put on the side. Come May 16th, it's all systems go. Venus in Aries likes to get things going. They don't like to pause. They're not known for pausing. They're known for forging ahead impatiently sometimes. It's not that they're totally impatient. It's just they want to get on with it. Venus will stay in Aries until the 5th of June. Then it moves into that conservative sign, Taurus. Right before, on the 4th of June, Venus will make a lovely sextile to Jupiter, which will be in the last degree of Gemini. I'm going to give you some other dates to mark on your calendar. This is all about taking fast action, progressiveness, looking for the love first, not other things first. Look for the love first while Venus is in Aries, and that will really help you. So on the 2nd of May, Venus will conjunct Neptune. I cannot believe it's almost May, but it is. Happy May Day. Venus will conjunct Neptune. That deals with creativity, imagination, getting things moving that might have been paused with your idealistic vision of how you can create the most fantastic love in your life. And that doesn't require another person. You can create the most fantastic love in your life just within your own vision. Then on the 6th, Venus will sextile Pluto. That's the power of love within groups and for humankind. On the 22nd, this is all in May, Venus will trine Mars. As Venus trines Mars, that usually indicates agreement between the sexes. Then on the 1st of June, Venus will conjunct Chiron, the wounded healer. So that's an excellent indicator of healing past wounds, making new contracts. Maybe we'll have a peace agreement by then. I keep hoping. That's in the Ukraine war that I'm speaking of. Then on the 4th, Venus will sextile Jupiter at the last degree of Gemini. That's an intellectual air placement. So you're taking the progressive and combining it with the intellect. It's great for treaties. It's certainly a fabulous day for a wedding. And then on the 5th, Venus will enter Taurus. All the month of May, Venus will be in a lovely relationship with Mars. It won't be exact until the 22nd of May, that trine. But this indicates a really beautiful energy of the yin with the yang throughout the entire month of May and into that first week in June. Now I want to speak a little bit about the Vatican. The conclave is about to meet on the 7th of May. I'll be doing a podcast about my possible predictions of who will be Pope. This is a great challenge because there's a lot of cardinals. And so that's a lot of data that I'm looking at. But my overall feeling is that this particular new Pope is going to be a bit more conservative than Pope Francis. I also believe that this new Pope is going to have a huge focus on the family and on building and creating families because, of course, the congregation is dependent and the spreading of the faith is dependent on more people being involved, and that requires making babies. And since Venus and Mars are getting along this month and the first week in June, you know, they've got a good theme going. The chart that I'm using for the Vatican is the June 7th, 1929, 11 a.m. Rome, Italy. This has a Virgo rising at 4 degrees, Sun, Moon, and Mercury all in Gemini at the top of the chart. Also at the top of the chart, the 10th house cusp is 29 degrees and 59 minutes, arc of Taurus, which is most interesting. Now, as I've been researching this chart, the Vatican is having a Saturn square Saturn cycle because currently Saturn is in Pisces and their birth Saturn was in Sagittarius. They are going through some trials and there will be internal conflict. Those that wish to go forward in a new way with much more compassion and openness and not such rigid views from antiquity. Others who are firm in staying true to the doctrine. I punched in their solar return chart. It's quite interesting. I do believe that there's going to be something a bit unusual about this new Pope. It will probably be something around the fact of either they are from a country that has never had a Pope or from a country that was not expecting to have a Pope appointed, like, say, Africa. Or it's possible that it will be a very young Pope, maybe the youngest Pope we've ever had. Although I still see a very conservative thread happening through this new Pope. So there'll be some level of surprise. And where that's coming from is that 29 degrees at the very top of the chart. We're going to see Uranus cross over that point. And that's a significant event. Some radical change. Unexpected. I'm wondering if because this Pope is being picked now, I'm assuming that it's going to go fairly quick because of the Aries energy that's happening in the sky. That'll either be selected after 2 days or 2 weeks, but I don't expect that it would linger on for several months, but hey, that could be possible too. But rather, what I do believe is that it will happen fairly quickly, and then some of the changes that the new Pope brings will be quite a shock to others. There is a solar eclipse in September at 29 degrees Virgo, which will trine the Vatican City's Jupiter. And that is the indicator for me that it's going to be a conservative Pope. Practical in its outlook, practical on the level of how do we serve. Service is going to be extremely important. For this new pontiff's vision of how to lead the church, there will be some radical change. But that radical change also has the potential of being radical change going back to some level of conservative views that maybe had initially been presented by Pope Francis and now are argued about a little bit more. So July 6th is when Uranus will conjunct the Vatican City midheaven. And then on July 7th, Uranus enters into Gemini. That is to me an indicator that some new law or speech or declaration is going to have shockwaves. And it's not limited to July 6th. There will also be Uranus conjuncting the midheaven of the Vatican's chart also on November 8th of 2025 and August 25th of 2026. So it's continuing this substantial change. But like I said, it could go back to some level of conservatism that has not been expected. I've not investigated all of the cardinals, but one that really caught my eye was Cardinal Idge. He is from the Netherlands, very conservative, or we should say more conservative. And he has some interesting aspects happening in his chart that could indicate an elevation to the point of being the Pope. Also, Cardinal Erdo has transit Jupiter when it enters Cancer, will conjunct both his Sun and Venus. He is extremely conservative. I also believe that the church is going to take a huge amount of time to focus on their youth by looking at the solar return chart, that they recognize that to reach the young Catholics of the world is a primary focus and need. And Cardinal Zuppi, who is very interesting, he has a lot of Leo in his chart that blends with the Vatican chart. It caught my eye that he has his Mars in Virgo at the same degree as the upcoming solar eclipse, and that can indicate a tremendous change in the life. And certainly I would imagine becoming the Pope would change your life quite a bit. So those are the three that as of now I have narrowed down as having significant strength in their chart to indicate a position such as the Pope occurring in their life. So we'll just have to wait until the cardinals meet in the conclave to find out who the next representation of the Catholic Church is, who the next Pope is. Will, I'm sure, do the very best he possibly can. I'm Parker McPhinney. I'd like to thank you for listening. This is Stardust Stereo. I'd like to thank my patrons. You know who you are. If you'd like to become a patron, you can do so at patreon.com/ParkerMcP, and you'll get these podcasts right when they are produced and not days later. And I'd also like to remind you, you are made of stardust, so go shine.